Okay, we are hitching up and getting ready to hit the road. But even as seasoned full-time RVers for over 5 years, we still might miss things and forget things. That's why we always use a checklist with everything we do before we pull out of a campsite. So guys, if you're interested in setting up a hitching checklist before you hit the road so you don't have any unwanted accidents, this is the video for you. Stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to Why Wait. For those of you new to the channel, I'm Chris. As we stated before, today's video is all about making a checklist for hitching up and hitting the road. As much as we have all done this before, sometimes making simple mistakes end up becoming huge mistakes going down the road. So while everybody's rig is totally different, everybody has different hitches, everybody has different slide outs and things they have to do inside, this is just a general checklist. It's my checklist that I do before I hit the road. Some of these are going to be very important things that pretty much relate to all of us. Some of them are going to be just basically specific to my rig. You need to make your own checklist depending on what kind of RV you have, how you live, how you travel, and everything like that. Now, I have 4 checklists that I use. And this was an idea I saw years ago from a channel I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and that's Changing Lanes, Chad and Tara. And they use their phone, like I do, in the notes section. And you can make these checklists right on your phone in the notes section, and you can actually share them with somebody. So when me and Megan are hitching up, we both have the same notes. And as I go through and check things off that I've done on the notes, on the checklist, it goes straight to her phone, and basically she can see that it's been checked off and done as well. I have basically 4 checklists that I do for hitching up. I have a T-24, which is things to do the day before you leave, a T-12 checklist, and this is going to be things you should do the night before you hitch up, and then a morning checklist. This is the morning of hitching up, basically things you need to get done in the morning. And then I have the actual hitching up checklist, and that's going to involve when it's time to actually back the truck up and connect and things like that. So we're going to start off with talking about the T-24 checklist, what to do the day before you're going to hit the road and make a trip. The first thing I like to do is go ahead and fuel the truck up. It's a lot easier to hit the road if that truck is already fueled up. You can usually get cheaper prices in town. Once you're hitched up, you're pretty much married to the RV, and if you got a big RV like me, you're only going to be getting into the diesel lanes. While we do have the TST fuel card to save money, and that's fine going down the road, we like to go ahead and start off the trip with just a full tank of gas. Next, I want to start doing inspections on my hitch and all the bolts and everything like that. So depending on what style of hitch you have, you need to go ahead and grease up anything that needs to be greased up, inspect those bolts, inspect the hitch, just give it a general overall look and make sure that your hitch is ready to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and check out the suspension. I want to get under there, I want to look at my leaf springs, make sure everything looks good, look at the axles, make sure everything's tight under there, look for any loose brake wires possibly, and just an overall visual inspection, because you never know, you may see a crack, you may see something out of alignment, and you want to get under there before you hit the road and catch something before it happens out there. Next up, something I do the day before, that's going to be everything tires. If I'm going ahead and torquing down all my lug nuts, go ahead and check that out, get those all torqued down to spec, give a visual inspection on the tires, make sure there's no strange tread pattern happening, that nothing's rubbing the wrong way. And after you've inspected the tires just for overall look and appearance, go ahead and check the inflation. We use the TST tire pressure monitor system. I turn that on early in the morning while I'm doing other things. Let it go ahead and sync up with my truck tires and my camper tires. I'll go ahead and check the PSI, and anything that needs to be filled up, I'll go ahead and do that. Everything I run is 110 PSI, including my truck tires. So I like to just be within about 5 PSI of that to start the day. Now, if you want to find your exact PSI you should be running, go ahead and put a link up to this video where we actually go over everything tire safety. It's a great video. It's a true way to find what you should actually be running your tires at, depending on how much load you have in your RV and things like that. So let's go ahead and move on to the T-12 hour checklist, and that's what I'm going to do the night before we hit the road. So it's T-12 hours the night before you're going to leave. What do I want to get done? Mainly, I want to get everything outside taken care of. I want to bring everything inside I can. That way you're not doing it in the morning, because a lot of times everything is going to be wet in the morning, whether it's from dew or overnight rain. They're going to be packing up wet chairs, wet mats, and things like that. So I'm going to start bringing in my grills, my chairs, any dog fencing, just anything around the rig that is outside. Lights, signs, flags. I'm gonna stow all of that stuff away so I don't have to deal with any of that in the morning. And again, this is gonna be different for everybody, but make your own checklist according to what you have set outside. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do the night before is usually deal with all my water tanks. I'm going to fill up my fresh water tank, usually about 5-10 gallons at most, depending on my location, how long I'm gonna be traveling. Am I gonna be dry camping the night before? So you wanna go ahead and just get that fresh water tank set. We use a flow meter so we know exactly how much water we're putting in that fresh water tank. You don't wanna travel with too much fresh water. Every gallon of water is about 8 pounds, so that adds up really quickly with weight. Next, I'm going to go ahead and dump my black tank. I'm gonna dump my gray tanks, and I'm gonna get those all set for travel. Once everybody has taken a shower the night before and we're not really using any more water, I'll close up those gray tanks, and then anything we use tomorrow morning, the next morning, say just brushing teeth and doing a few dishes, we'll go ahead and sit in that gray tank, and I'll put a little bit of Dawn liquid down in that gray tank, just so when we're traveling, it's gonna be sloshing around, cleaning those tanks a little bit. And I'll go ahead and treat the black tank and get it ready for travel as well. Some of the last few things I do the night before: make sure everything is charged up. I like to make sure my route is planned. I usually do that a few weeks before, to be honest with you, but I like to have my route all planned, set in GPS. I know where I'm going. Everything's charged up, making travel bags, getting the inside of the truck all set for the dogs, for the little guy, anything we need in there. We will also make ice blocks in the freezer the night before. What we do is just fill up Tupperware containers with water, freeze them the night before. We put those in the fridge on travel day to keep the fridge a little bit extra cool. We do not run our refrigerator on propane when traveling. I know it's a big thing. We have a whole video about should you or should you not, when we talk about an item that we have, an amazing thing called the gas stop, which you can hook up to your propane tanks to safely travel with the propane tank on if you'd like to. If you don't know anything about the gas stop, go check out that video. It's a pretty neat thing. But we usually just go ahead and shut the propane off. Our fridge always stays plenty cold by the time when we get where we're going, so it's not a big deal for us. Now, let's go ahead and go inside, and we're gonna talk about some things we do the morning of on the checklist. Guys, real quick before we get into the morning of checklist, I want to mention a product that is a channel partner of ours, as well as the sponsor of our video today, and that is RV SNAPPAD. Now, RV SNAPPADs are an extremely popular product that you've probably heard of. But they also have a product you may not know about, and that's the RV base pad. If you use the Anderson red buckets like we do to reduce the length of your landing gear jacks for less shaking in the RV, you will love these. Made from rugged recycled rubber, the RV SNAPPAD base is a universal stability enhancing solution that fits a variety of stabilizing blocks to prevent them from, well, sinking into the ground, and prevents them from getting cracked lips or crushed damage, as you can see here. Not to mention, it's going to help with unwanted movement in the RV. Now, you guys can use the link below or code YWAIT to get 10% off the RV SNAPPAD base or any RV SNAPPAD product. And thank you, RV SNAPPAD, for sponsoring this video. Okay, T-0, the morning of departure. We've been up, had a coffee, it's time to get going. Time to take care of everything in here so we don't break anything, crush anything, moving slide outs in, damage anything underneath slide out floors. So I have my laptop right here and I have my checklist pulled up on here. You may see me glance down at this because I have a lot of stuff and obviously I don't have this memorized. So the first place we like to start is up in our bedroom, and we're going to just start securing everything in there. Again, for us, this is basically going to be securing the closet doors, making sure when that bedroom slide out comes in, all the dog beds are pulled away from it, anything that's plugged in, any cords, any wires, things on the shelves are put away. And this is going to vary for everybody. As you can see, we actually stow Corbin's bike up on the bed in here because while we used to have a bike rack for all three of our bikes, we now have e-bikes, and until we get a bike rack for the e-bikes, his bike is kind of in limbo. So for now, the bed is a great place to put things like bikes, vacuum cleaners, anything that really just kind of doesn't have a home. Actually laying it on your bed is a pretty good spot. I'm sure a lot of you guys do that. We'll make sure all the lights and the AC is completely shut off up here, and we'll close this door and be done with that. Next, we'll move into the bathroom. We like to take the shower head and pull it off and just set it down into the shower floor. That way it doesn't fall off during transit. We used to have to lock the glass shower doors in place. Now we have this awesome retractable shower door from Nautilus. Lightweight, doesn't shake, doesn't break, and we don't have to secure it, so that's great. We put everything else on the shower bathroom floor in here. Make sure the counters are cleared and the door is basically locked, and that's all we really have to do for that. And a lot of times we may open the vent fan up and let those fans run on hot sunny days. That way when we get to our location, it's not quite as hot inside because those two fans have been running the whole time, sucking out hot air. We usually work our way down the hallway, make sure all the blinds are up. This is just a trick someone told me to keep the blinds up. This way the blinds aren't down in the down position, shaking, rattling, bouncing around. It's just better for those to be up. We'll move into our mid-bunk room. This is where we have a little trick where we use some polyurethane foam, also known as backer rod, and we keep this underneath our slide outs, as you can see. And on travel days, we just grab the two ends of the foam and we pull it out, and any Legos, dog food, rocks that got stuck under here is going to pop right out. It's a great little trick. If you guys have the elevated slides like this, I definitely recommend using this little hack to prevent unwanted things getting underneath the slides and damaging your floors. We work our way into the kitchen, and this is where we want to secure everything inside the fridge. We have these little curtain rods. You can just get these on Amazon. Again, anything you see today will have Amazon links down below. This will secure everything inside the fridge, keep things from rattling around, falling out when we get to our location. We already talked about putting the ice blocks in the fridge. We shut our fridge off. I like to make sure that all of the dishes have some sort of protection around them, whether you're using bubble wrap, any kind of foam. We like to use this stuff right here. We wrap the plates, some bowls, just a few things. We'd be surprised that most of this stuff stays in place. So it's mainly just some of the glass items we don't want rubbing up against these glass cabinet doors right here. Make sure all the shelves are pushed in, everything's kind of locked, stowed away, and ready to roll with that, and the countertops are cleared. Next, I actually get on top of the roof. If we've been underneath a lot of trees, I like to just take this Ryobi blower right here. I blow down the roof and get it all cleared and clean before we put the slide outs in. While I'm out there, if it's been a real wet, rainy day and the slide outs are just completely soaked, I will actually try to wipe down some of the moisture real quick before I bring them in. Those sweeps don't always catch all the water, and I just try to minimize how much water is going to come in inside the camper. And that's a great tip, even with the Ryobi blower. When I get on top of those slide outs, I can just blow any puddled water right off of those, so I'm not bringing it in when those slide outs come in. Now I'm going to start to go ahead and bring my slide out systems in. I'm going to stand here and watch and look as I bring them in. Make sure that everybody's out of the way, make sure that everything is out of the way, in and outside, before I bring these slide outs in. Once the slide outs are in, go outside, we're going to secure the steps, put those up, we're going to lock the door, secure any railings and things like that. And I didn't talk about that earlier, but we actually go around and make sure all the windows are tightly secured. That way when you're going down the road, they don't want to rattle open, because it will have a tendency to break if they do that. We're going to make our way over to the water side of the RV. This is when I'm going to go ahead and secure all of my water lines, shut all that down, put away any water filtration systems, the water softener. We're going to go ahead and put the sewer hose away, make sure that the Valterra gate valve is closed, make sure that's capped off. If you don't have a Valterra gate valve, definitely recommend checking out one of those. That should be a day one purchase. Then we're going to walk over and shut both propane tanks off like we talked about, because we don't run those. Once the propane tanks are shut off, we have made it back to the truck, and now it is time to hitch up. And we're going to get into the hitching checklist now. Okay, it's time to hitch up. Again, this is going to vary for everybody, just like the inside of the camper, just like everything does. But this is a good guideline to go ahead and do. Now, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and drop the tailgate. I'm sure we've all seen the dented tailgates from backing up to the kingpin and denting the tailgate. So big step there. Put the tailgate down. Don't forget about that. It seems obvious, but this is why we have checklists, because these things happen. We're in a rush. Sometimes we're talking to people who are trying to hitch up and we just forget the simplest of things. So drop that tailgate down. Now, we've already had the tire pressure monitor system on earlier in the morning, so that's already done. It's rounds, it's checks, it's good to go. It should be showing all your tires are already good to go. You should have aired them up the day before, so tires should be ready. At this point, I'll back up to the pin box. For us, it's the Reese Goose box. I'll start to back up to it. Then I'm going to go ahead and go over to the camper. I'm going to use the auto leveling system, and I'm going to raise the front end of the camper up. I'm going to get in the truck, and we're going to start backing up to our hitch. I like to use these Reese Power Tower balls right here. With the Reese Goose ball, you really can't see anything, and these two tennis balls will line me up perfect. They're going to line me up right dead on center, and it's also when it hits the one that's in the bed of my truck. I have one in the bed of my truck specially mounted in an exact spot to know that when the front of my Reese hits that first tennis ball, I know I'm right lined up over that ball. Then we're going to back up into position. When we're all set, we're going to go ahead and lower the rig right on top of the ball or your fifth wheel hitch, whatever you have. Again, this is going to be a little bit different. If you do have a fifth wheel hitch, you're going to have to do things like the tug test to make sure that everything's secure and the camper's not going to fall out and land on the bed rails of your truck, which you see happen a lot too. We put a padlock on there for some extra securance. And these are just things that we do with the Reese that you probably don't have to do, but get your checklist set and your system down for whatever hitching style system you have. Next, I'm going to connect my breakaway cable. I'm going to connect my safety chains. I'm going to make sure my Reese airbag is filled up. When I'm in the truck, we're going to go ahead and get the mirrors fully positioned out to towing mode with the mirrors. I'm going to put it in tow haul mode. Once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and go back and I'm going to hit retract all. And I'm going to retract all of my landing gear back up. At this point, I'm going to actually go ahead and disconnect from my 50 amp. Now you always want to go over to the pedestal first and go ahead and shut the power off before you disconnect the power cord. I like to stay connected to 50 amp while I'm doing all my slide outs and jacks, just so I'm not putting all that strain on the battery just yet. So once everything's fully hitched up, this is when I'll go ahead and, like I said, walk over to the power pedestal, shut that 50 amp or 30 amp off, then go ahead and disconnect your EMS surge protector, go ahead and disconnect your power cord and get all that stowed away. And once I've done that, and only once I've done that, once I've disconnected from that power source, then I'll come back to my truck and I'll connect my 7-way adapter for the braking lights and brakes and everything, so the truck is now connected to the RV. Once that's done, I'll go ahead and close my tailgate up and make that sure that is secured. Then we go ahead and do a walk around and we'll start collecting any jack pads, blocks, Anderson buckets, any chocks, things like that. We're going to get those stowed away into our front compartment or the bed of your truck, and then we're going to go ahead and lock all of these storage compartments on the RV. Double check, make sure all of those are locked and secured. At this point, we're going to do our full walk around. We're going to be looking to make sure we didn't miss any steps. We're going to make sure that we checked everything off on all the other checklists. We're going to be looking for anything that may be, just looking, out of the ordinary. Maybe we left a two-way, valve splitter connected to the water pipe. There's lots of things you just want to look around your campground, not only on the rig, but check out the campsite. Make sure you didn't leave anything laying out. Make sure those slide outs look good, tires look good, stairs, roof, just to give an overall visual walk around one more time. Get in the truck. We do a brake light test, check your blinkers, make sure all that's working back there. And guys, that's it. Get your GPS set. Get ready to go and hit the road. I hope this checklist helped you out. Stay safe out there. Again, go ahead and take these ideas, modify them to your own checklist, but then use it, okay? Don't just get complacent and think you have it down packed. As much as we've done it, we still go through the checklist. Even sometimes if I'm rushing, before I actually pull off, and maybe I wasn't exactly going through the checklist as I was doing it, I still go back to the checklist when I'm sitting in the truck, making sure that I did do all that stuff before I pull out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.